Let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right? Reading the books, visualizing, repeating affirmations, trying to stay positive, and yet nothing really changes. Maybe small things shift, a little improvement here and there, but the big breakthroughs, the financial freedom, the life upgrade you've been working toward, it feels slow, almost stuck. And after a while, you start wondering, is it me? Am I doing something wrong? Or does manifestation just not work the way people claim? Today, I want to explore something deeper, not from a hype perspective, but from a structural one. Because the real reason your manifestation feels slow isn't about effort, it's about alignment. Surface techniques versus root causes. Most people approach manifestation at the surface level. They focus on thoughts, they focus on affirmations. They try to raise their vibration by forcing positivity. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You cannot override your subconscious with surface-level techniques. If consciously you say, I attract wealth, but subconsciously you believe money is unstable, hard to keep, or somehow not for you, your subconscious wins every time. And that's where most people get stuck, especially adults over 30. Because by this stage in life, you've accumulated decades of conditioning, experiences, financial stress, career disappointments, family beliefs about money, fear of instability. All of that lives beneath the surface. So when manifestation feels slow, it's usually not because you're lazy. It's because there's internal resistance you haven't addressed yet. The hidden friction no one talks about. Think of it this way. Imagine trying to drive with the emergency brakes slightly engaged. The car moves, but it struggles. It burns fuel inefficiently. It feels heavy. That's what manifestation looks like when limiting beliefs are active in the subconscious mind. You might attract small improvements, but large-scale change feels delayed. And here's the key insight. Manifestation speed is directly related to subconscious congruence. If your internal programming is split, desire on one side, doubt on the other, progress slows down. Not because the concept doesn't work, but because your system isn't unified. Why this becomes more noticeable? After 30, in your 20s, belief systems are still flexible. But by your 30s, 40s, and beyond, identity becomes more fixed. You don't just want more money, you have responsibilities, mortgage payments, family considerations, health concerns, inflation pressure. When manifestation feels slow at this stage, it doesn't feel abstract, it feels urgent, and urgency often creates more resistance. You start trying harder, forcing more, doubling affirmations, watching more motivational content. But intensity is not the same as alignment. In fact, forcing positivity while suppressing subconscious doubt often creates internal conflict, and internal conflict slows results. The subconscious lag effect. Here's something most people overlook. Your subconscious doesn't update instantly. If you've held a belief for 20 years, like money is stressful or success changes people, repeating affirmations for 10 days won't erase it. There's a lag. That lag is what people interpret as manifestation not working. But it's actually the time required for subconscious recalibration. The real question isn't, why isn't it happening? The better question is, what inside me still contradicts what I say I want? That's a much more powerful place to look. Why traditional law of attraction feels incomplete. Many law of attraction teachings focus heavily on visualization and positive emotion, and those things matter. But they assume your subconscious foundation is already neutral or supportive. For many adults, it isn't. If you grew up hearing things like, money doesn't grow on trees, rich people are greedy, be realistic, don't expect too much, those messages didn't disappear. They became internalized rules, and no amount of surface-level positivity overrides deeply embedded rules without deeper work. That's why some people spend years consuming content and still feel like something is missing, because they are trying to accelerate without first removing friction. Raising your vibration. What that really means. Raising your vibration has become a popular phrase, but practically speaking, it means reducing internal contradiction. When your thoughts, emotions, and subconscious beliefs align, your actions change naturally. Opportunities feel clearer. Decisions feel more confident. Risk tolerance becomes rational instead of fear-based. That's when results appear faster. Not because you forced the universe, but because you stopped fighting yourself. Manifestation speed increases when resistance decreases, and resistance lives in the subconscious. The structural shift most people never make. Here's the shift that changes everything. Stop asking, how do I attract faster? Start asking, what belief system is slowing me down? This moves you from chasing outcomes to restructuring foundations, and foundations determine durability. If manifestation feels slow, it's usually because you're building on unstable internal ground. Once the ground stabilizes, progress accelerates. But stabilization requires awareness first. That's why conversations like this matter, not to sell you hype, but to help you recognize where the real leverage point is. What happens when alignment improves, when subconscious resistance decreases? You don't feel desperate. You don't feel like you're forcing results. You don't constantly question whether it's working. Instead, you feel calmer, more certain, more internally consistent. And interestingly, that emotional stability often precedes visible change, because clarity improves decisions. Better decisions improve outcomes. Improved outcomes reinforce new beliefs. It becomes a feedback loop, but it starts internally. If you felt stuck, you're not broken. If manifestation has felt slow for you, that doesn't mean you lack discipline. It doesn't mean you're incapable. It usually means there's subconscious programming still running in the background. And until that programming is addressed, progress will feel heavier than it needs to. The good news, subconscious patterns can be restructured, but not by accident, and not by surface-level repetition alone. It requires understanding the mechanism, and that's exactly what we're going to keep exploring on this channel. If this conversation gave you clarity, even a small shift in perspective, make sure you subscribe, because we're going deeper into the structural side of manifestation, subconscious alignment, and why certain methods produce faster internal change than others. And if you want to explore the specific framework that addresses the root cause of slow manifestation, not just the symptoms, you can review the official details through the link in the description and in the pinned comment below. It connects directly to what we discussed today, resolving subconscious resistance so manifestation no longer feels delayed. Take your time, study it carefully, and I'll see you in the next video.